Hi, I'm Armand Hartoonian.
Hi, I'm Noah Weinstein, and
This is WeinHart! Hey everybody, how's it going? Long time no see. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be here with you guys again. Noah, why don't you tell our audience what's in for them today?
Well, you are in for a special treat today, guys. Today, we are going to be talking about the filmography and not so extensive filmography of the great Quentin Tarantino.
That's right, Quentin Tarantino.
So, without further ado, let's get into the review.
Let's do it.
Review time! Alright, so this review is going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Buddy, order fried sauerkraut! Crown you Nazi bastards! Seems this world got you down. You're feeling bad vibrations.
Are you an actor?
No, I'm a stuntman.
Girl, look at me.
So you still with Rick, huh? Still here.
You could do anything you want to him.
We're gonna have flames.
I hired you to be an actor, Rick, not a TV cowboy. You're better than that. Line?
Cut! Embarrass yourself like that in front of all those goddamn people.
All right, so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as you all know, is the 9th film by Quentin Tarantino. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and a bunch of other people. It's a great cast. We got who do we have? We got Bruce Dern in there. You got
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. That's how you have the late Luke Perry. Great, right? Great cast, great people. Anyways, getting into the movie, I really enjoyed it because I love period pieces, Noah. I love period pieces, and when period pieces are done right, I don't know, like, for me personally, I'm just sucked into this world, and I'm just in. I feel like I'm shadowing the characters. I'm doing what they're doing. I'm feeling what they're feeling. The tensions there and whatnot. And I think Tarantino did such a great job of just turning Hollywood into 1960s Hollywood, and he did just an amazing job of to the radio stations, KHJ, the real Don Steele, all that stuff, all the music, the radio stations, the radio promos for like Mug Root Beer. Now, whether you like the movie or you didn't like the movie, you have to admit that it was a thrill. It was definitely a ride.
Even after seeing it twice, I know that I still really enjoy the movie. It's well made. What I really like about, and I'm not just saying about this film, but his entire body of work is every single time I walk into one of his movies, there is this unique voice that he puts into every single one of these scripts. But the thing that he is able to do so well without this feeling repetitive is he is able to make all of these new storylines have a different flavor and a different feeling to it. Martin Scorsese's filmography, as much as I love Martin Scorsese, a lot of his movies really make up of mobster epics, gangster violence, and we kind of know what to expect when we go into a Martin Scorsese movie, including this upcoming release, The Irishman, coming out in November. Steven Spielberg, sometimes you kind of understand some of his tropes in some sense.
Right.
But Quentin Tarantino is different in the sense where he is able to make all of his movies feel so drastically different and refreshing, but he is able to still, every single one of these movies, he puts this unique, incredible voice in there.
He does.
He puts this great spin on it all the time. And he does it here in this movie too. I thought the acting was fantastic. Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie and pretty much everybody that's involved in it is really good, as always. They do a very nice job. my only thing about one of my things about Quentin Tarantino, one of my only docks of him that I've had problems with, kind of in his newer filmography, not as much in his older films, is Quentin Tarantino, I think, sometimes has this tendency to overindulge a little bit. And I'll tell you what I mean when I mean overindulge. When Quentin Tarantino has a sequence or even such a piece of dialogue or a conversation sequence, usually these conversation sequences function as there's more than one thing that's being told in this sequence. There's a conversation between two characters about how their careers are going. But deep down, there is another purpose to the scene, Now, Quentin Tarantino does this very well, but my only problem is he likes to extend it so much. He stretches out these conversation scenes and these dialogue scenes so much sometimes to the point where sometimes the purpose of the scene itself gets a little lost. So if I were to be talking about the scene where Brad Pitt goes to see Bruce Dern's character, there was a good 15 or so minutes of that whole sequence where I just thought, this is cool and all that, but what's the purpose? I'm like, what is the purpose? We don't see Bruce Dern's character ever again after that one scene.
Right.
And I get what it was there for. It was there to set up the Manson events at the end of the film. But to me, as somebody that really appreciates it when there's something eloquent about it, but it's done in a little bit of a tighter way, I just feel like Quentin Tarantino could tighten those things up. And that's just my personal opinion on it. And, but yeah, that's just my takeaway. And unfortunately, this film, for me, suffered a little bit from that. But more on that later. Armand?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to, touch up on a little bit what you said. So I went ahead and I saw this movie, ironically. I saw it 4 times.
What the fuck?
And, I've never done this before, and I think it's honestly my burning passion and love for Tarantino that kind of urged me to go out and, to go see these movies. So, seeing a movie 4 times, you kind of get a new perspective on it every time you see it. So, the thing is, like, what I love about Tarantino, I gotta say, I love his attention to detail. I love his ability to use characters and to write their dialogue for them in a very quirky, unique sort of way that most directors don't use. I actually like his use of violence. I think it's exaggerated so much that it gets to a point where it's freaking hilarious, honestly. And, I find that great cinema, and I think I completely agree with him, and I think that that's what makes a Tarantino movie. I loved the relationship between the on-screen chemistry, if you will, between Brad Pitt and DiCaprio. I honestly thought that they did such a good job of playing off one another's characters. I felt that they kind of, in a brotherly sort of way, they helped each other out. They boosted each other's egos, their confidences, and you saw it all come together. And Margot Robbie, there was when Tarantino was being interviewed at the Cannes Film Festival.
That interview. Yeah.
Right. One of the reporters who was a feminist was trying to say that Margot Robbie she felt that, why did Tarantino kind of crap on Margot Robbie in a sense and didn't give her more dialogue and whatnot. And Quentin Tarantino just very respectfully said, I shut down your question. And this is the thing. Margot Robbie answered on behalf of that feminist, and she said that she felt that Tarantino did an excellent job, and more than excellent job of, writing her character in a way where she acted her character and she portrayed her character in an acting sort of way. So not necessarily, one has to have lines. See, the thing is, in this industry, people measure the amount of lines that one has with, with acting, this kind of, big presence on set. Not necessarily. Margot Robbie did a fabulous job, an amazing job, just with her facial expressions and her laughing and her giggling in the movie theater. And, she was just very, like, that to me, she had an amazing role, and I think she did a great job. So I think that Tarantino shutting down that, that feminist reporters' questions. And I say feminist because, I understand it's tough times right now, and we're moving towards, an equality sort of movement, which I completely agree with, and I'm completely for it. I definitely think that women do deserve to have their shining moment, to be in the limelight, of course, as equally as men. But I don't appreciate, those type of feminists coming out and asking a question just to put Tarantino down, because that question was specifically asked to, and you could tell it was asked to put Tarantino in a tight spot and in an uncomfortable position. But my point in going off on that tangent is to say that, everybody's going to have their opinions on Tarantino films, and everyone is always going to try and put Tarantino in a tight spot and, make others feel, like he's not, what he should be, or, he's not what he should be. But at the end of the day, I don't know. He just doesn't rub people the wrong way. I mean, he does rub people the wrong way, but he rubs people the wrong way in a creative way. He doesn't, rub people the wrong way in a sense where, like, he's purposely trying to piss people off. He's just a filmmaker. He's doing his thing, and I respect him for that. Noah, what are your thoughts on that, man?
On all that? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Margot Robbie's portrayal in this, I thought, was one of the more interesting moments. I'm actually kind of surprised it got a lot of backlash, because I actually thought that was one of the strongest, most clever parts of the entire movie. What was refreshing about that was, Quentin, as I said before about my only gripe with Tarantino is he kind of overindulges a lot with these conversations.
Yes.
They never did this with Sharon Tate's character, the Margot Robbie's character, Sharon Tate, because the way they portray her, it's like, it's just this innocent person having fun. And for all those who unfortunately know the Sharon Tate murders, the tragic story behind it, when these sequences happened, there was this sense of dread hanging over everybody's head that knew about this, because it just like, the whole time I was just waiting for this. I was like, is this going to be the scene? Oh, is this going to be the moment? But what's nice about this is, like Inglourious Bastards, Quentin Tarantino rewrites history, and he changes the ending of the story. I know I've been talking a lot about the bad and being a little bit nitpicky about this movie for a little bit, but that's because I'm just trying to figure out where exactly I can nitpick, because the rest of this movie is pretty damn good as it is. The scene with the little girl and Leonardo DiCaprio is honestly one of the funniest moments ever. It was absolutely great. That was such a great moment for the character. It was such a great little dynamic that they had. And it was a funny little thing where the little girl happened to be reading some biography about Walt Disney. And I was like, man, he's a very inventive person. I'm like, haha, yeah, sure is. Anyways, I loved all of the stuff where they were reenacting old TV shows. That fake show that they created, Bounty Law, was really funny and really cool. And Tarantino is such a fan of these old TV shows and old cinema history that you could tell that he really put his heart and soul into these scenes. That is my 2 cents on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino is a great director, great writer. He is very good at really taking you into this world with these characters, and every time he does it, whether it be a completely fictionalized storyline or it's a storyline that's loosely based on reality, such as Inglourious Bastards or this movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So overall, very good movie. I mean, it is a crowd pleaser. The first time we saw it, it was the ending scene is just crazy. I mean, it's so good. It's so good.
Cinema at its best, honestly.
Cinema, yeah, some pretty quality cinema.
You have to admit that all these events, there were times in the movie where it was slow enough, but like it was so gratifying that it all led up to this one, bang, this big bang, and
it was
like,
very
there
sad.
we go, right? Because it made you wait, and it teased it. Because Tarantino uses violence a lot in his films, but in this one, I just feel like he was kind of like he was teasing it, and he's like, here you go, it's what you've been waiting for. I mean, in his other films like Inglourious Bastards, there's violence throughout it. Django, there's violence throughout. So
I think this is on par with Jackie Brown in terms of violence, where there is like literally there's like these little splashes here and there.
Right.
But it culminates into something bigger.
Sure.
And even this film, it's like there is just like nothing. The
And then
end,
boom.
and then it's like
Right.
kaboom at the end. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is absolutely a worthy successor to Tarantino's other movies. Anyways, thank you so much. I am Noah Weinstein.
And I'm Armand Hartoonian, as always.
This is WeinHart.
See you next time.
See you next time. Hit that subscribe button.
Please.